Hello class, so today we're covering the work we've done on The Apology by Plato. So first of all, we always capitalize book titles and likewise italicize book titles. And as far as The Apology goes, the word itself is a slightly misleading in the sense that we want to think of this as a defense. Okay, so this is the defense of Socrates while he was on trial for corrupting the youth, etc. And for impiety, he was on trial for impiety and corrupting the youth. Question is, were those the real charges, or was it really a matter of him irritating the experts, so on and so forth? So this is written by Plato. Plato is the student of Socrates. So as we always point out, Socrates never wrote anything down. Plato writes down everything, and Plato only writes in dialogue form. So everything written by Plato is in the form of a dialogue. And so when we consider Plato and Socrates, I usually tell students that we think of them as one philosopher. Okay? And so we're looking at the Apology. So before we step into the Apology, I want to look at reason here. I found it on a definition of reason on the Encyclopedia Britannica. So reason in philosophy, the faculty or process of drawing logical inferences. And inferences really just could be another way of identifying conclusions, drawing logical conclusions. The term reason is also used in several other narrower senses. Reason in opposition to sensation, perception, feeling, desire as the faculty, the existence of which is denied by the empiricists, by which fundamental truths are intuitively apprehended. And then so here we want to make the distinction between perception and reason. Reason is understood as distinct from sensation, perception, feeling, and desire is what is pointed out here. Okay, so then I think that what we could do is really think of this as this next line too. So these fundamental truths are the causes or reasons of all derivative facts. So, in other words, fundamental truths or necessary truths, sometimes this is referred to as pure reasoning, etc., as is the case with Immanuel Kant, and that is understood as a priori reasoning. And so when we're thinking about reason, and here we even have reference to Aristotle's general to the particulars, etc. And so what we're usually thinking of is that logic here is also an organizational factor in the way in which we understand things. Okay, so I think that we're getting to the process of drawing logical inferences by way of reason. So, in other words, ways of understanding conclusions that follow a reasonable or logical understanding. And again, we're thinking of logical as organizational. Okay. So then I have a question. How is reason understood in relation to the dialectic? So the slightly difficult or challenging part here is that Canny never really highlights reason in what he writes here, right? So when we're thinking of the dialectic, we're thinking of it as what? So the Dialectic is a total process of enlightenment whereby the philosopher is educated so to achieve knowledge of the supreme good and the form of the good. So that's one way that the dialectic is understood. And then also the process of elucidating the truth by means of questions aimed at opening out what is already implicitly known, or at exposing the contradictions and muddles in the opponent's position. And then Canny highlights the four parts of the dialectic. Okay, so what we want to do then is connect that to reason, right? So it's clear that the dialectic is a way of drawing out knowledge, right? So when we read these definitions, the total process of enlightenment, whereby the philosopher is educated so as to achieve knowledge. So the dialectic is a process of achieving knowledge, okay? And that is its reasoning, okay? So the dialectical reasoning is by way of a process of acquiring knowledge, right? In the form of the good in this case, and then likewise to expose contradictions and muddles of an opponent's position. So in other words, bringing about the truth by means of questions. So questioning the interlocutor to get to the higher truth. Okay. And again, this is a type of knowledge. Okay. So that is a way we could start drawing out how we're understanding the dialectic by way of reason. So reason is a way in which we're understanding we go back to this, a faculty or process of drawing logical inferences. We could see that in this definition here, this drawing out of problems in order to expose a higher truth is a type of reasoning, right? So then let's go ahead and turn to, we looked at the four parts here. So first part was active participation, equal status. Then the second part had to do with the beginning with commonly held opinions on the issue. And then the third part, the third dimension of the dialectic, I found that this critical reflection was not reflected on as often in what students wrote, right? So in other words, for the purposes of this paper, critical reflection refers to the ability to consider fairly equally challenges or questions raised regarding a particular issue in order to arrive at a better understanding. So then the way that we could start thinking of this is a way that something is rationally understood. So perhaps when the mind receives contradictory ideas, the thinking mind, intending to light up the chaos, is compelled to reverse the process and arrive at an opinion that is satisfactory to the thinking mind. Then for Socrates, the thinking mind is one that works to resolve contradictory ideas. So then we're looking at this idea that we're clearing up common ideas critically so that we could get to a point of reasoning whereby we're arriving at a higher notion of truth. So then the fourth dimension is the connection of ideas, because here we have an opposing view that is then called into question critically, and then that opposing view is taken with the higher truth to then be a connection of ideas. Okay, so that critical reflection is really the heart of how it is that we're understanding the dialectic. So then we move to the apology itself, and I found these passages whereby we could start considering the fourth question that I have. How does absence work in terms of virtue and death for Socrates? And then also the first question, show how true knowledge and virtue are a move away from opinion, common opinion, and belief in Plato's Apology. Okay, so we're going to consider the first and fourth question. And we're looking at this passage here. I thought of reading it, but then I realized Socrates is a bit long-winded. So what we want to do is reduce it down to understand that, first of all, we see here, if I disobeyed the oracle because I was afraid of death, then I should be fancying that I was wise when I was not wise. For this fear of death is indeed the pretense of wisdom, and not real wisdom, being the appearance of knowing the unknown, since no one knows whether death, which they in their fear apprehend to be the greatest evil, may not be the greatest good. Is there not here conceit of knowledge, which is a disgraceful sort of ignorance? And is this the point in which, as I think, I am superior to men in general, and in which I might perhaps fancy myself wiser than other men, then whereas I know but little of the world below, I do not suppose that I know. But I do know that injustice and disobedience do a better, whether God or man is evil or dishonorable, and I will never fear or avoid a possible good rather than a certain evil. Okay, so again, it's hidden in there, but we get that sense whereby he's showing that he's courageous in the face of death, and that to fear death is seen by him as a kind of disgraceful sort of ignorance, right? That we should rise above, because that's not wise to fear death, according to Socrates, because we're fearing an unknown when we're pretending that we know it. So in other words, to fear the unknown is to pretend that you actually know what is unknown. Okay, so there's a kind of arrogance there. Okay, so then that really covers this idea of absence and virtue. That, in other words, to overcome that which is known, to overcome that which is unknown is a type of wisdom, right? To face what is unknown takes a type of courage, okay? So that's what's implied there. And then also, too, there's a little bit as well within that already as far as this idea of moving from common opinion to higher knowledge, right? Because even to this day, we could say that people fear death because it's unknown. So that right there is common wisdom that Socrates is challenging. And then later on in this long paragraph too, we also have this point that he's making, that we are valuing money and honor and reputation above wisdom and truth, and which is the greatest improvement of the soul. So then to value these things is not virtue, according to according to Socrates. Okay, so I think that should take us to answer those questions. And surprisingly, it was in these small passages here. So thank you, and we'll talk more later.